Hey everyone, today we're going to talk a little bit about fills. Now, fills are the bit that drummers do to make things a little bit more interesting. Now, that sounds incredibly vague, so I think what would be a good idea is if I play a fill and then you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. So, the bit at the start was the beat, that was the groove, and the badam, 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 dagadam was the fill that I decided to do. Now, fills, there are loads and loads of different fills that people do. And lots of things that you can change about them. So some fills might be really, really long. Some fills might be really, really short. Some fills might be really, really complicated. Some fills can also be really, really simple and effective too. And fills happen in lots of different styles of music. So it's not just a rock or a pop thing. Now, often fills happen on the toms, the high tom, the middle tom, the low tom. Often they include those, but they don't have to. And often fills happen at the end of sections. So if you've heard of verses, choruses, instrumental sections, often fills happen at the end of sections, end of those sections. But again, they don't have to. If you decided to do a fill in the middle of a verse, if it suits the music, then do it. Now, sometimes fills can be written down on some paper. So if you were doing a grade exam, you would probably have to play some of the fills that were written down in your grade book. Sometimes you can copy fills. So you might hear your favourite drummer playing something on an album and you might think that sounds amazing. I'm going to try and do that or my own version of it. And sometimes you might decide just to make up your own. And that's part of the thinking behind this video. Whether you're a beginner or whether you're an advanced player, just getting you to kind of think about different ways that you might go about making your own fills up. So, finally, before we do some playing, one of the questions that people often ask is how frequently should you do a fill? And I'm really sorry, but that's not a question that I or any other drummer or drum tutor can really answer, because it depends on the style of music, it depends on the arrangement of the song, it depends on how the song sounds and what other instruments are doing. But what I can suggest is ways that you can find an answer to that. One of the things that you can do that will help you decide how often to do a fill in a song is by just listening to the music. What sounds good, what doesn't. And obviously using your own judgment. Another thing that you can do is listen to other musicians or a band leader. So there might be a bit of guidance of saying, do you mind not doing quite so many fills? Or actually, in this at the end section of this song, can you do as many as you think? Another thing is just learning from kind of trying lots of different things. So if you decided in one band practice to go crazy and play a fill every few bars, you might listen back and think that doesn't sound very good. But if you learn from the experience, then that can really be helpful too. Right, now for today, we're going to be working from a worksheet that looks like this. If you don't have it, then get in touch and I will send it over, no problem. Now, this worksheet couldn't actually be any simpler. All we're going to do is one bar of a rock beat, just picked a basic rock beat to start off with, and then we're going to do a rhythm that adds up to 4 beats. That's what these diagonal lines signify: the first beat of the bar, the second beat, the third beat, and the fourth beat. So I'm going to recycle some of the rhythms that I used on the last video that I did about rhythm. And the first rhythm that I did on the last video went 1, 2, and 3, 4. So 1 bar rock beat plus that sounds like this. 1, 2, and 3, 4. But to make things a little bit more interesting, rather than just doing it on the snare drum, I'm going to place it on different parts of the kit. Now, you could go around the kit in a clockwise direction, so 1, 2, and 3, 4. But I'm going to just do it a slightly different order just to mix it up a little bit. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and low tom, and then back to the snare. I'll do that again. 1, 2, and 3. So that, with a rock beat before it, sounds like this. And already it's a really, really simple rhythm, but it's starting to sound quite good. Imagine that a little bit faster and it could really, really work in a song. Right, the next rhythm goes 1 and rest, 3 and 4. But what I'm going to do with this one is on the quavers, so the 1 and, I'm going to get some bass drums involved. I'm going to split up the quavers, so rather than 1 and, I'm going to go 1 and. So snare, bass. So the order that I'm going to choose goes 1 and rest, 3 and 4. I'll do that again. 1 and rest, mid, 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 low. Sticker bars rock beat before it. 1 and rest. Now the truth is, it could be any order. You could start off over here, whatever you want. These are just example orders and example rhythms. Right, next one. The rhythm goes 1 and 2 and rest and 4 and. I'll do that again. 1 and 2 and rest and 4 and. I'm going to split up the semi-quavers at the start to add some bass drums in. 1 and then the next two hits I'll do on 2 drums, so I'll pick these two. So 1 and 2 and maybe rest and. Sticker bars rock beat behind that. Okay. Next rhythm. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now what I'll do with this one is I'll split up the semiquavers a little bit. So I'll go 1 and 2 and 3. It's a bit more complicated. Also, one thing that's quite effective after a fill is if you replace the first hi-hat with a crash cymbal instead. So. And it's really starting to come together now. Okay, next rhythm. This rhythm goes 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, and rest, and rest, and 4, and rest, and rest, and rest, and 4, and. For this one, a little bit less usual, but I'll add some cymbals, I'll add some open hi-hats into the fill. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, and rest, and rest, and. Do that again. Rest, and rest, and rest, and. So with some rock beat before it. Okay. The next thing, next rhythm goes 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll do that again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, having some rests or some silencing fills can be really, really effective. Yeah, the fills where you just whiz around the drum kit a million miles an hour sound great, but also sometimes just having a bit of space for the song to breathe can work really, really well. So, what I'll do with this one is I will add a flam on the first hit. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. With some rock beat before it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, next thing, rhythm 1, 2, triplet, 3, triplet, 4. Okay, for this one, what I'll do is I'll kind of play a little bit on the melody, the pitch of the toms, and I'll go 1, 2, triplet, 3, triplet, 4. So you get like a high, low, and then a low, high. So it's kind of like a symmetrical sort of thing. 1, 2, triplet, 3, triplet, 4. Okay, next fill. 1 triplet, 2, rest, and 4 beat. So I'll get some more flams involved. Also, I'll add a crash on the last quaver of the bar, like a bit of a crash pickup. So we'll go 1 triplet, 2, rest, and 4. Rest. Don't hit the rim. Rest. Now another thing you can do is you can develop the beat before it. You could add extra basses, extra snares, you could play it on the ride cymbal, the low tom. So I'm going to play through all of those different fills now. I'll go over to the ride for a little bit, I'll go over to the low tom for the groove for a little bit, and I'll go a little bit faster, and you can start to hear how it's really starting to develop now. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you haven't been playing very long, some of those fills that I did were probably a little bit complicated. But what you could do is you could pick really, really straightforward rhythms. Providing that they add up to 4 beats, they will fit in that gap there. So you could just have a rhythm that goes 1, 2, and 3, 4. And then try that in lots of different orders on the drum kit. So that could sound something like this. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. And just try them in loads and loads of different ways. Equally, if you've been playing for quite a while, you might want to develop this idea a little bit and do more and more complicated rhythms. Again, providing that they add up to 4 beats, you can do whatever you like. Now, if you are an advanced player, then you might want to take a look at the second sheet of the handout that looks a little bit like this. And this is just exploring the idea of making some of the fills longer, or making the fills shorter. Now you can do this beyond this sheet. This is just to kind of get you started, but the top exercise has 5 beats worth of fill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, any rhythm that adds up to 5 beats will fit into that gap there. The one slight twist with this is because we're having a longer fill, it means that the rock beat is a little bit shorter. So the rock beat is only going to add up to 3 beats. So here are a few ideas. The second part of page 2 is all about making the fills a little bit shorter. So here you can see we have a fill that needs to add up to 3 beats, therefore the rock beat is that bit longer. Here are a few ideas on this. When you're playing around with these, please remember that you can make them as simple or as complicated as you would like. The key principle is that the rhythm adds up to the correct number of beats, whether that's a simple rhythm or whether it's a complicated rhythm. Also, you can use any rhythm. So if you randomly hear a rhythm, the character full door knock, that could be a fill. For example, if you heard that at a gig, you wouldn't go, that sounds a little bit like the door knock. It's just a rhythm. Equally, the football clap, could sound like this. And you wouldn't go, hang on a second, that's the football clap. You wouldn't notice. In context, when other instruments are playing, when it's on lots of different drums, you wouldn't realise. Also, listen to some of your favourite drummers, or if you just randomly hear a fill on the radio and you think, I quite like that, then try and copy it or do your own version of it. And the last thing to say is that there are millions and millions and millions of possibilities here. So you're realistically going to come up with some fills that you don't like, and you're going to come up with some fills that you do like, okay? Try lots of different stuff, have fun with it, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care, bye-bye.